World leaders are absolutely furious at Donald Trump and his administration, and they are refusing to lend any support, resources, or territory to what many are calling Trump's threat to attack Iran. Even Trump's top military advisor, chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Raising Cane, has reportedly told the president plainly, without support from allies beyond Israel, a limited strike on Iran capable of toppling the regime simply isn't feasible. Trump is said to be growing increasingly frustrated with General Cane and other senior advisors who are warning that any invasion of Iran without allied backing would be catastrophic. Meanwhile, as Trump continues his aggressive posture toward the rest of the world, now imposing what critics are calling an unlawful new tariff regime of 15% on global imports, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is quietly but decisively outmaneuvering him on the world stage. Carney is weaving together trans-Pacific and transatlantic partnerships in a diplomatic effort that is drawing widespread admiration. This week alone, he is embarking on a whirlwind tour through India, Australia, and Japan, following a recent visit to Europe with the goal of forging new alliances and unlocking fresh opportunities for Canadian workers and businesses across trade, energy, technology, and defense. As Trump alienates former allies one by one, Canada is positioning itself as the crucial bridge between the Atlantic and the Pacific worlds. The Beebs captured it well, reporting that Carney is traveling to cultivate new trade ties as Canada seeks to reduce its economic dependency on the United States. In India, he will meet with Prime Minister Modi. In Australia, he will meet Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and address Parliament, the first Canadian Prime Minister to do so in nearly 20 years. The trip concludes in Tokyo with a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Takahashi. Carney himself has framed Canada's strategy with quiet confidence. In a more uncertain world, Canada is focused on what it can control, diversifying trade, attracting new investment, and creating opportunities for its workers. Canada strong, as he puts it. And it isn't just Liberals sounding the alarm. Doug Ford, the Conservative Premier of Ontario, has also spoken out forcefully against Trump's tariffs and their damaging effects on the Canadian economy.
There's going to be the midterms. I've never seen so many Canadians all cheering on the Democrats. And I think there's 33 Senate seats up for grabs. 20 of them are Republican. But we saw what happened in Congress. We saw what happened in the Supreme Court. The walls are closing in, I believe, on President Trump right now, and he's feeling the pressure. So a lot of these jobs are border states that are being affected, and he needs those seats. So if it continues on, people are going to be unemployed, and which will affect the midterms.
Well, I always say, no deal is better than a bad deal. But I think it's in the best interest of the American people. You're seeing inflation down there because prices are going up just because of these tariffs. And I've always said a tariff on Canada is a tax on the U.S. And I'm going to be spreading that message. Make no mistake about it. My media here is number one, but I have to get that message. I'll be going on with Wolf Blitzer on CNN. I think within the next hour, getting that message out there through CNN and other media outlets. People are listening. Down in the U.S., people are feeling the crunch. They don't see the prices going down with food and other goods. And that all has to come down to, the uncertainty that he's put around the world, but he's put against his number one customer in the world. I always remind him that 9 million Americans wake up every single day to build a product, a widget, or a service for Ontario alone. And they're going to feel the crunch.
Canada stands remarkably united on this front. From the NP on the further left to the Liberal Party in the center, and even conservatives like Doug Ford at the provincial level, there is a broad national consensus. A few outliers like Pierre Poilievre and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith have drawn comparisons to the MAGA movement, but that framing hasn't gained much traction. By and large, Canada is speaking with one voice, Back in Washington, the Pentagon is sounding serious alarms about Trump's desire to strike Iran. General Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, has cautioned the president directly, pointing to critical shortfalls in munitions and a near-total absence of Allied support, factors that would create significant risk both to the operation itself and to American personnel. Military analysts warn that a sustained campaign against Iran would rank among the most complex and dangerous operations the United States has ever launched, with a very real potential to drag the country into a protracted war across the Middle East. Multiple sources speaking to CBS News confirmed that Trump has grown increasingly frustrated as military planners repeatedly tell him there is no clean, decisive surgical strike available. Every limited option, they warn, risks opening the door to a far wider confrontation. There is also the uncomfortable reality of what a conflict with Iran would do to America's stockpile of critical missile interceptors, weapons that take years and enormous sums of money to replenish. Then there is the Greenland episode, which has become something of an embarrassment. Trump and Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry publicly claimed hospital ships were being dispatched to Greenland, posting dramatic images to accompany the announcement. The people of Greenland responded with bewilderment, pointing out they have universal health care, unlike Louisiana, and are not in need of saving. The Pentagon subsequently confirmed it had received no orders whatsoever to deploy any medical vessels or ships to Greenland. The Navy's two hospital ships, the Usens Comfort and the Usens Mercy, are both currently in dry dock in Mobile, Alabama, undergoing repairs and maintenance. When pressed, Pentagon and Navy spokespeople simply referred reporters to the White House, while the White House pointed people to Trump's Truth Social account. Trump then took to Truth Social to push back on reporting about General Kane's reservations, claiming the stories were fabricated and that Kane, if ordered, believes any conflict with Iran would be easily won. Trump also repeated his claim that Iran's nuclear facilities were blown to smithereens by B-2 bombers during Operation Midnight Hammer, which raises an obvious question. If everything was obliterated, what exactly are we negotiating over right now? The contradiction answers itself. Trump concluded his post by saying he cares about the Iranian people and would prefer a deal to war. But it is worth remembering that when Iranians took to the streets in protest, Trump encouraged them publicly and promised America had their back. Roughly 30,000 protesters were subsequently killed. The credibility of his concern deserves scrutiny. On the diplomatic front, France has effectively frozen out Charles Kushner, Trump's ambassador to France and the father of Jared Kushner. Kushner, a convicted felon who pleaded guilty to tax evasion and witness tampering, the latter involving the hiring of a prostitute to entrap his own brother-in-law, was summoned to the French Foreign Ministry after publicly commenting on French domestic politics. He simply did not show up. France responded by barring all government officials from having any contact with him. It is a remarkable diplomatic rebuke. And finally, across the Atlantic, there is at least some accountability taking shape. Lord Peter Mandelson, the former UK ambassador to the United States, has been arrested in Britain alongside former Prince Andrew in connection with their relationships with Jeffrey Epstein. Whether similar accountability will ever come to the United States remains, for now, an open question. Thanks, everybody, for watching.